So this is the Neptube. It's my entry in the Experimental Airlines Seaplane Scratch Build Contest. The plane was made using arm and wing techniques and the fuselage techniques taught by Ed in his videos. The plane itself has a wingspan of 30 inches and the overall length of the plane is 36 inches. The root cord on the wing is 6 inches with an additional 1.5 inch on the control surface ailerons, and they're sealed at the trailing edge using the kissing tape technique. The fuselage tube itself is a 2-inch fuselage tube, and I put the seam on the top just to ensure that no water came up from underneath. And on the ends of the tube I sealed it with another piece of Dollar Tree foam board just on the end. And on this end I have a piece of plywood which I use to mount the engine on. On the underside of the wings we have some wingtip stabilizer floats that are made out of EPS foam, extruded foam from Home Depot. And that same foam is used as a nose cap on the front end of the hull here. The hull is a little bit unique. It uses the same technique, very simple technique, of the fuselage tube, but it incorporates 2 additional sides here, so it's a 6-sided fuselage tube to give it a little bit of an angle. I still have the flat bottom here, which allows it to come off the water a little bit easier, and I have put a little bit of a taper in it so that it comes from 2 inches here to about 1 inch on this end here, giving it a little bit of a taper so that it also creates an angle that helps it to come off the water. The 2 fuselage tubes, the whole tube and the fuselage tube itself, were just joined together with this step point being just behind the center of gravity. This seemed to work very well. The plane came up on the step and flew off the water very efficiently and very easily. The simplicity of this design is great. The fuselage tube just drags in the water, and the front is where most of the weight is supported by the hull. I also attached a plastic rudder on the end of the regular rudder here, and it's slotted, and it's just taped on to the rudder, and so it can be removed so that the plane can fly off other surfaces, including grass. But this is just a little flexible piece of plastic that's being used for a rudder. The plane, as you'll see in the flight video, tracked very well on the water, and it was a real extreme pleasure just to taxi the plane around on the water and to treat it a little bit like a little boat. Overall, the plane performed very well. For a power plant, I'm using a 26 1200 kV motor, which is pushing an 8x4 propeller, and the plane had plenty of power to get up to speed and fly off the water. In fact, most of the time I ran the plane at about half throttle, and it had plenty of power. Changes I would make from the prototype to a final would be to move the battery, which is located here in the front of the fuselage tube, move it actually into the hull tube down below. I think that would bring the center of gravity forward a little bit and allow me to shorten the plane by moving the hull back a little bit. I'd like to get the plane from 36 inches down to 32 inches and remove this weight up front by using the battery as a counterweight. The other thing I would like to do on the final version is to move the servos from outside the plane into the fuselage tube, and to connect the control surfaces using a nye rod or similar type control rod system. I think those 2 improvements would make the plane look a little nicer and make it fly just a little bit better, but I have no complaints. This was my first scratch build using my own design, and it's only about the 3rd plane that I've flown, and if I can fly this thing off water anybody can fly it off water. It was a thoroughly enjoyable plane to fly, and even more fun to build. So I think it's simple enough that anybody can do it. I look forward to answering any questions that anybody may have on the plane. And again, I'd like to thank Ed for his instructional videos and for inspiring many new pilots into the sport by his instructional videos and making it affordable for all of us. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Have fun flying.